Oh. Everyone, I'm so very grateful to be with you today for another 4D Trinity, 4D, fourth dimensional consciousness. That is the consciousness that resides, the tiny space of the heart, that divine portal that connects us to God, to Source, to all love and light in the universe. That is the space that fourth dimensional consciousness connects us to, that divine blueprint of sacred energy that is really our Holy Grail hologram. It is the hologram that is our blueprint of perfection, of our perfect health, mind, body, and beyond that. We can imagine that blueprint as being spirit. That is our unfuckable with ability blueprint. That is our God source blueprint that is in constant contact with God, with Source, with spirit, that is constantly present for us to draw from, to remember who we are outside of the stories that we think we are and outside of the stories we've been told we are. And all the stories that make us up are memory. All of these things that make us up are memories. And last week in our show on the Akashik records, which I'll make sure and put a link up top for our YouTube channel, we come to realize that everything is memory. The entire world as we know it is running on memory, This physical body, how would your body know how to be a body, how to do its thing in this world if there was no memory? Right? There was no program, there was no blueprint for it to run on. And so we think about this etheric body. But first, what I want to bring you to, what we were just going to, is that spirit, that Holy Grail hologram, which I believe, let's just say that I know, is that divine blueprint of mastery. And ultimately, what we're working towards in our healing practices and our practices of ascension is matching our mental and emotional constructs, our physical body, with that Holy Grail hologram, with that God self, that God source that we are. Thank you for hopping on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube, and thank you for saying hello. And a little later, we'll scroll through some of the comments or questions if you have any. So the etheric body, we think about this body, this physical body, and perhaps we're aware of the aura and how the aura combines and contains many different layers of bodies. And generally, as I teach, I keep it pretty simple. We think about the physical body, we think about the mental body, we think about the emotional body, where these bodies are synced up with spirit. That's when we have sovereignty. That's when we have a level of freedom, of movement in the world. And it's understanding the stories that we're pulling from the Akashic records, the stories, the memories that we're running on that help to give rise to the experience we have as a reality in the matrix here. And so we go a little further, right? So you are multidimensional. Your aura consists of your physical body. I mean, there's so many parts to the energetic body, right? And I know I've done some live streams on this, and I'll put some links later on YouTube. But say this is you, the little gingerbread character, your physical body, right? The etheric body is said to be the body that resides the closest to that physical aspect of yourself. It is the next layer of us energetically that extends. But it is also the blueprint through which the physical body receives its instructions, sort of like how the DNA receives its, or how the body receives its instructions from the DNA, right, on a physical level. But we think about the physical body, the etheric body, the mental body, the emotional body, and of course there's many other bodies, and depending on who you study with or the different books and teachings you relate to, right, we can go into the astral and the causal, which perhaps we'll get into later, but just to keep it simple, we think about all of these bodies that we are, our mind, our emotions, the physical body, and how we are constantly interfacing with all of life, with all of creation, with all of the cosmos, the physical, the etheric. Okay, next level beyond the etheric body, being the next level beyond the physical body. It is said that it is identical. I'm going to show you a picture of the etheric body. It is identical to the physical body. It contains the chakras. It contains all of your organs. And it also contains your meridians, your nadis, the channels, right? That channel life force, prana, scalar waves, orgone energy, to and through all parts of you to nourish and sustain it. This is a really beautiful book that's been around for many years. Years ago in Los Angeles, I worked at the Bodhi Tree bookstore, which is, now it's only online. But I remember that was in 96. And this book was just huge then. And I'm sure it's been around since before then. And it's always been on the bookshelf. And my mother, being a proponent of all of these metaphysical attributes, it was always on our bookshelf as a child. Well, you know, as whatever age I was growing up and being familiar with this. And she gives this really cool download of how to heal through the human energy field. Hands of Light by Barbara Ann Brannon. And I just want to show you this picture she has in there of the etheric body. And I pray, I know it's a little glary, but I want all of you to be able to see this idea. And I know on the little flyer that I made, I used her picture, this one. Can you see that one? Right, this little guy here, this little girl here. So, the etheric body is said to be that interface that connects us with cosmic energy, right? So it is through this etheric body that we receive that prana, that life force energy, and that it is then transferred through the nadis, the channels, the chakras, through the endocrine system, the bloodstream. And it in effect nourishes us and sustains our well-being, mind, body, and emotions, right? As our reality here. The root of our problems, it is said, reside in the etheric body. Now, how is that so? If everything is memory, if we are rerunning memories from the Akashic records, what are we sustaining? We are sustaining those belief patterns that we have decided are for us through our many lifetimes of experience here on this planet. We are tapping into the reservoir of all of the agreements, the constructs, the decisions that we've made throughout all lifetimes. And it is said that, you know, in each lifetime, we have this opportunity to make peace with these aspects, to make peace with and to forgive and to ultimately dissolve any karmas, any belief patterns that are limiting, that constrict us or restrict us from knowing who we are as God, from knowing who we are as that supernatural being that is more than just a body, that is more than just a body. So if the root of all of our problems reside in the etheric body as belief systems and karmas, what belief systems are running you now? What belief systems are you pulling, consciously or unconsciously, from the Akashic records that are informing your life, that are informing the words you speak, the thoughts you think, and all and every way that you decide to have your experience here? What belief patterns are serving you? We can imagine that as the mind syncs up with the emotions, syncs up with the heart, that is what 4D Trinity is. The heart is spirit, right? The heart is that Christ consciousness, is the gateway to that which is the supernatural beyond this world. It is in the world, but not us of it. It is us being in the world, but not of the world. And so we practice maybe our pranayamas, our eating well, our right thinking, our right speaking, to keep the navigatory aspects of what we carry in this world in alignment with what is true to us, with what is authentic to us. Belief systems and patterns encoded in the Akashic records. We think about the Akashic records being everywhere, right? Because it is all places and in one place at the same time. We think we can go on these journeys, through the Akashic library, to the actual hall of records where they exist, and retrieve information. Later this month, October 30th, I'm really excited to do a guided mini immersion and meditation for an Akashic records retrieval. You see, in my findings, we are constantly reliving these memories, these storehouses of memories rooted in the Akashic. And the Akashic is the holder, is the ether, right? Akasha in our ancient Sanskrit teachings translates as ether. And it is the holding space of all memory. It is the recorder of all people, places, and things through all time, space, and dimensions. And it is also the space where every choice that is made holds all past, present, and future parallel dimensions that we can access, right? We did a show last year called Quantum Jumping, where we jumped timelines. We did a practice of that and exploring connecting with our higher self on a different timeline, talking to that higher self there, and asking them questions, drawing wisdom to help guide us on our pathway now. And so like that, we can go into the Akashic records. We have left information and insight, artifacts, writings, scrolls, templates, pictures, blueprints that will help to serve us in the now. When we are unconscious, we are simply rerunning these Akashic records, these belief patterns, these karmas. And as we know, if we do our work in our spiritual dimensions, that we can override, we can make peace with, we can absolve those connections, those agreements that we've made, those belief patterns. We can change how we interface with those blueprints, with that etheric blueprint, and then how it is embossed onto our etheric body template, informing our mind, our emotions, how to act and respond in this world and interface with the rest of it. So, without the Akashic records, you wouldn't be here. And without you, the Akashic records wouldn't be here. It is the cosmic blueprint holder of all memory, So again, what memories are we living? What memories from this Akashic records are we living? From this etheric plane? What is informing our etheric body and how it shall be healthy and how it shall move and be and embody prana and embody those belief patterns in this world? Are they simply repeated lessons and patterns of the same karmas, just slightly different aspects of the same thing that keep us rerunning certain patterns, right? We keep having to come back, if you believe in reincarnation, and reliving through these different paradigms of exploration, ultimately until these lessons become realized, ultimately until those belief patterns are brought back to the oneness, brought back into that realization of God, of love, ultimately. So the same ailments that are in your physical body reside in the etheric body, reside in the mental body, in the emotional body. The etheric body is your energy blueprint between the physical body, the world, and all of the bodies. It is a bridge for prana. And I'm going to put a link later on our YouTube. We did a show last year that was about the crystalline tube, the Sushumna, this main channel that runs through the center line of the body. It houses the spine and the chakra systems. And depending on which teachings, it either goes way, 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 way up, way, way, way down, or a few feet. But this is our energy lung. This is where we take in that vital life force energy, that prana. This is where we unconsciously or consciously breathe, take in energetic, sustaining, right? This the sustenance, that sustains our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual presence here on this plane. I'm going to sign myself into the keynote of this group. I sign myself into the keynote of this group as a means to communicate with absolute clarity and coherency, succinctity, and for the highest good of all. And so it is. And so it is. So you are multidimensional. All changes in the material world are preceded by a change in the etheric body. So you can go to a healer 1 week and they can read your etheric body perhaps, or see into your aura and see certain ailments or mental patterns, blockages, things that are creating a block in that life force flowing freely through you. When there's more cosmic energy, we think about prana, life force, as cosmic energy. When there is an abundance of this cosmic energy, the lights come on, our light sight is activated, and we can see with greater ease, with the eyes of God, with the vision of Christ. We can see without collapsing the wave function through the perspectual lenses of the physical eyes, right? We have the physical eyes that see on the horizon of the third dimension, that see the matrix, that see the grids at play. And we also have a second set of eyes, the third eye in the heart center, that see on the vertical, that see the ascent. And when we have greater and greater life force energy flowing through us, through that energy lung, through our practices of being in the sun, speaking right, eating right, doing many different practices, meditation, there's so many different wonderful things we can do. We enhance and amplify our ability to absorb, to be nourished, and then to be, to radiate, and to channel that life force energy. And it lights up every aspect of our sight, of our ability to be present from a higher level, to be present here from the heart center. So again, as I was saying, we find that divine, that holy cross of the vertical vision with the horizon, with the vision of the horizon, the physical eyes, with the spiritual eyes. We see with eyes of God. And in that way, we are not collapsing wave functions in the way by the observer effect that what we see creates our reality. We begin to see more with eyes of God, with vision that allows all of the veils to be lifted. And it is here that we see love and only love as a continuum, as an ongoing experience. Each layer of the aura is connected to and penetrates each other layer. They talk to each other. And what are they saying? There is a constant conversation going on between your ethereal body and all bodies of the universe and all other bodies. Each layer of our energy body is a filter. And so how are your filters working for you? Perhaps you have really good, juiced up, clean filters in one body, in your mental body, about certain aspects. You're really clear about your finances. Yet there's another aspect about relationships, receiving love, feeling worthy, where there's a blockage. That's going to be visible to the eyes that can see in the etheric body. And it is through right use of mind and of speech that then we can create a synchronization of that which is that Holy Grail hologram, that divine template that will inform the etheric body to run on that higher frequency that is not sustaining those memories from the Akashik that keep us in the loop of the matrix. We begin to see beyond the veils. And so our practices, our meditations, our pranayamas, our breath work, all of these good things, our good diet, our good thinking, they help us to maintain and sustain that clarity. Lights on, right? When we do these practices, our light sight becomes activated. And again, we see through the veils. I want to read for you here. There's just something so very interesting that Barbara Ann Brennan writes here about the etheric body. The etheric body consists of a definite structure of lines of force or energy matrix upon which the physical matter of the body tissues is shaped and anchored. The physical tissues exist as such only because of the vital field behind them. That is, the field is prior to, not a result of, the physical body. So your etheric body comes first. The template of your ethereal body comes first, and then the physical body reflects what is held in the etheric body. So if there's a maelstrom of thoughts that are self-destructive, we can imagine how that informs the etheric body to shut down, to close down, right? It's always fear or love that we are choosing between. And each track creates a different aspect of our reality in this experience. But as she said, the vital field behind any physical matter of the body, it comes prior to. So again, the etheric body, the etheric template, the Akashic records is prior to your physical being. It's prior to. There has to be a blueprint. There has to be a seed for your experience, for your body to be a body here. Through the use of high sense perception, we observed that an energy field matrix in the shape of a leaf is projected by the plant prior to the growth of a leaf, and then the leaf grows into that already existing form. Now, isn't that wild? That an actual plant is going to say, boop, 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 boop. It's going to send a holographic blueprint of its next leaf that it's going to create. And then from that energetic, that etherical body blueprint, that leaf will be formed through that in the physical realm. The web-like structure of the etheric body is in constant motion. To clairvoyant vision, sparks of bluish white light move along its energy lines throughout the entire dense physical body. The etheric body extends from 1/4 to 2 inches beyond the physical body. So, I grew up in Ireland for 10 years, from when I was 14 to 24. And besides learning how to drink a lot of Guinness and sing with my guitar on the streets, there was a lot of metaphysical downloads there. It's a very, very powerful space. And we used to have, there was this cereal there, and perhaps it's still there if Aveen or if Seek Vision is here, maybe you can confirm. There was this breakfast cereal called Ready Break. And there was a little commercial. And funny enough, he kind of looked like this, like the little gingerbread man in our picture here. And he would eat his Ready Break, his morning little Ready Break food. I can't even remember what it was made out of. And he would have a Ready Break glow. And so you imagine, perhaps you see auras. You imagine that it's that etheric body is that layer of the aura that is closest to the physical form. Sometimes perhaps you can see that glow around the physical body. You can get a sense of someone's energy. You can see that Ready Break glow, if you will, around a person, place, or thing. So even inanimate objects, you can see their etheric blueprint. And again, that's something that comes naturally as the light sight becomes activated. But again, we think about this blueprint, and we think about all the memories that we're rerunning from the Akashic, consciously or unconsciously, until we become, right? We're unconscious until we become conscious of them. And then what aspects we get to heal, change, so that our experience heals and changes. So we have a different experience in the world. Now, let's see. Yes, each layer of the physical body has a different metabolism. So we think about the mental body, and how, I had a friend who would often have a lot of digestive problems, but also there was, if we were going to call it a problem, there was this issue that they came to realize that before they would eat, they would have this mantra that would speak into this reality of like, wow, every time I eat, I feel sick. Every time I eat, I can't digest my food. I can't. And this would almost be this mantra. And then they would eat, and then what would happen? They would feel sick. They would not be able to digest. Why? Because they have informed through their spoken word into their etheric blueprint this belief pattern, perhaps linked to an ancient karma, perhaps linked to some poison that they were given, and I'm just making that up, bubble of light. But you know what I mean? Like, these things go way back into the subconscious. And we think about the Akashic records as being the collective subconscious. We think about the grid matrix of collective conscious as being the superposition soup. It's the collective consciousness of all time, space, and dimensions. So the Akashic, the etheric realm, again, it pervades all. It pervades all, but it is also that which informs all of how to be whatever it is we are being here. And so what memories are we bringing up? What memories are informing the DNA, are informing our thoughts, our words, to send out as somatic, sacred geometric aspects that inspire the atomic structures of this world to bring into the density of the third dimension a certain reality. And it is through the grid matrix system that this happens. So we think about the Akashik, the etheric realm, being that subconscious. We imagine it in the root chakra, but even though it's everywhere, it is that base layer, right? That base blueprint that informs everything. The grid matrix is that which informs our third dimensional reality. And again, it contains all constructs of all consciousness through all time, space, and dimensions. What we plug into, what we decide, what we speak, what we agree to, what we think about on repetition, on repeat, inspires that atomic dance of that superposition soup where all possibilities and potentials reside in the grid matrix. And it pulls it down. It co-creates on behalf of us what it is that we experience here. And so learning that we have this energy body, this etheric body, and all of these other aspects contained within it that are constantly in conversation with one another and in conversation with the body of the universe, learning that we can inform them and redirect how that energy flows consciously can be of a great benefit to us, especially on our healing path. I'm in the creation process of a screenplay called Grid Mind Science. And I thank you everyone over at Grid Mind Science on Instagram and at Facebook for following my notes on a movie in the making. And the science of Grid Mind Science is the science of healing and ascension. So there's this aspect that, we can sure have a level of experience as ascension, yet without healing, without again zeroing out and bringing any aspects that are limiting, that are hurtful to us, that are causing us to repeat certain patterns that are destructive, that are addictive, that cause hate and fear to perpetuate. As we heal these aspects, we naturally ascend. So we imagine the sun is always shining. Love is always here, right? I always say that this is us, really. Beyond the crystalline tube, beyond the etheric body, beyond everything, we are light, we are love. And it is here in the third dimension that we become a personalized matrix of that which we pull from the grid matrix of collective consciousness, which is a subset of the Akashic records. So we are constantly interfacing with the whole universe, with our subconscious memory strata, and with the potentials and possibilities of what can be here. And we know that there's only one moment and it's happening now. And truly, when we reside in that heart center, that fourth dimensional consciousness plane, that tiny space in the heart, as Drunvalo Melchizedek says, that is that sacred 0 point. That is that sacred gateway, an entryway to Taurus consciousness, to allowing the heart to navigate, allowing the heart to speak, to think, to act through us, to be the driving force that initiates all of our processes. I want to read for you this passage, and we read a little bit from it last week in the Akashic Record Show. This is Walter Russell's The Secret of Light, just to give you a little more in-depth aspects of how nature records as that etheric Akashic record, but also you are a part of nature. So he writes in the Life Principle, page 205, nature records every action and desire of the body. Likewise, every conscious desire and thought of the soul in those cosmic elements, which are called the inert gases, helium, neon, krypton, argon, and others. These cosmic elements, which will not unite with the physical elements, are the basis of God's recording system, by means of which every thought and action of every creating thing is stored in them as seed extensions from sun and earth centers for repetition until their purposes are fulfilled. And we can imagine, well, what is the purpose, right? Why am I here? Who am I? What is my purpose? And that's really for you to decide. But there is this aspect that it is, to remember that we are love, to remember actually that we are free, that we are supernatural, empowered beings, having this third dimensional experience. And so learning and understanding, though, really driving it home that we are walking with this etherical body blueprint that has stored, marked all of these karmas, all of these belief patterns, and these belief patterns that you've agreed to, that you've decided upon throughout all lives. If you believe in reincarnation, throughout all lifetimes and throughout all dimensions, right? If we think about the many worlds theory and how it activates in that Akashic realm, where all past, present, future potentials and probabilities exist with every choice we make, right? We are constantly drawing from that, again, either consciously or unconsciously, through the etheric body template. And that etheric body template is informing how we speak, how we think. And we know, or let us learn, that the mental body informs, what I offer is the mental body informs the emotional body. So what you think, how you think, is going to cause a chemical, biochemical reaction in your body to transmit neurotransmitters. And we're either going to be in the love channel or in the fear channel. It's the God phone. Hello? Hi, God. God says hi. Yes, we're doing the etheric body. I'm doing my best. It feels like there's a lot here, and I want to be mindful to just bring your word through to allow it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the insight. You want us to read, about karma. Okay. And next week's show is going to be on karma. Okay, I love that. Thank you, God. Oh, and God wants us to remember, or invites us to remember, that God is a verb, that God is love in motion, that God is love without an opposite, love and only love. No judgment, no fear. Thank you so much, dear God. Blessings. Awesome. Okay. So this is interesting while we're talking about this. God is inviting us to read. Let's see. Okay. So speaking about karmas, and especially karmas, there are these positive karmas. There are these good karmas that we come through with. But we're speaking about these karmas that are distortive, that cause us to not be able to take in life force, that cause us to become stagnant through our thoughts, through our words, through our physical body. And these aspects that we're working to bring into that divine alignment with God, with source, with love, so that we don't have to rerun and relive them anymore. These spiritual distortions are always related to belief systems acquired in this lifetime or in other lifetimes, and are therefore karmic. And this is the author saying this: I see karma simply as life experience created from belief systems that have been carried over from one lifetime to the next until they are cleared and realigned with the greater reality. Now, doesn't that sync up with what Walter Russell was saying? These cosmic elements, which will not unite with the physical elements, are the basis of God's recording system, by means of which every thought and action of every creating thing is stored in them as seed extensions from sun and earth centers for repetition until their purposes are fulfilled. And again, purposes being fulfilled is that oneness realization. So whether you call God, whether that's a knee-jerk reaction word for you or whatever it might be, but really God is love. You can think about that God is love. And when we get out of those belief patterns and karmas that keep us repeating the same lessons, we have that greater experience of love in our life, and life completely changes from that point on. So again, the etheric body is holding these karmas. The etheric body is plugged into the Akashic records. The etheric body is being informed by those constructs and agreements that you've made, those belief systems that you've said, yes, this is true. I cannot digest my food. This is true. I'm going to get sick every time this happens. This is true. I have not healed from being poisoned in a past life. And so every time I eat a certain thing, it reminds me of that, even though I don't know that. I'm not conscious of that yet. I haven't explored that yet, perhaps. And this is why I get sick every time this happens, or this is why I can never get to where I want to go in this aspect of life. And so understanding that we can rewrite those records. We can rewrite, rather, how we are plugging into the records. And we can choose then consciously what records are on repeat through us. And we do that work here in the third dimension, in the physical realm, through the mind. All is mind, right, in this world. And that's why self-mastery is about mastering the mind. It's being a master of your time and space. And in the grid mind science teachings, time is that which is from the tip of your tongue, that is which created your experience of time is created through the words you speak, and space is the thoughts you think about those words you speak, those thoughts you think. But also, right, our time and our space can be conscious and unconscious, subconscious patterns running through us. And so what serves us? What serves us? The Akashic Records holds, remember last week I talked about that the Akashic Records, I like to think about it where it holds all of our deleted pictures, all of our deleted selfies, right? And in the grids are all of the pictures that we have kept. Okay. And so even though the Akashic holds all of those deleted pictures, are you pulling from those deleted pictures still? How many deleted pictures have you really, really deleted? And some pictures require more deleting here in the third dimension, making amends, healing, right? Coming back to love with relationships, with money, with food, with addictive patterns, with cosmic, spiritual lineage, karmas, whatever it might be for you. But all of this memory is in your etheric. So you think about your day-to-day realities and your experiences and how much of it is rerunning the same stories, how much of it is rerunning the Akashic Records, and that you can decide consciously what you are pulling from the ether, and reestablish new set points through the etheric body by which your mind and your emotions, your physical body then are running on. It's like Deepak Chopra, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, right? They're all doing this research that says that our DNA is responding and reacting to every thought we think, right? That it is actually malleable. And depending on what we speak or think, time and space, those create our coordinates of our third dimensional reality here in the matrix. Depending on the quality of these will distinguish the quality of our experience here. We run on memory. We run on blueprints. Where are the main blueprints from which you draw your experiences? Which memories are making up your karmas now, your samsaras? So just to backtrack a little bit, I'm going to have a sip of water. I had the great honor of taking care of a loved one during his death. My divine uncle died of cancer back in late 2018, and myself and my mother had the great honor of caring for him, of hospicing with him at home until his last breath. And about a year and a half before he passed, he had a tumor in his knee, and he had to get that amputated, that leg amputated up to the thigh, above the knee. And so he was in a wheelchair for the last part of his life. And it was very interesting. I would spend a lot of time, obviously, with him. We were caring with him. We moved in with him, living in his home with him, and doing a lot of Reiki with him. And I remember one time we were sitting there doing Reiki, and he said, "Ow, ow, ow." And I was like, "What's going on? What's going on, Uncle?" And he said, "Oh," and he was pointing to his leg that had been cut off. He was pointing to his foot that was no longer there in the third dimension. But if we think about what Barbara Ann Brennan was saying here, right, there's that blueprint. That's the etheric blueprint. You can cut the leg off. You can cut the leaf off of a plant. We've perhaps heard of Kirlian photography that can actually take a snapshot of the aura and see the energy aspects, the energy bodies, right, the colors, or the etheric body, really. And we can cut a leaf, and we can take a snapshot with the Kirlian photography camera and still see the whole blueprint, the etheric blueprint of that leaf. And so like that, I'm there doing Reiki with Uncle, and he has this, he starts pointing to his foot that is no longer there in the third dimension. I'm like, "Unky, what's going on? What's happening?" And he's like, there's something with my big toe. Something's going on there. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Let's go down there. There's no leg, mind you, right? But we're down there energetically. Energetically, there is still a leg there. There is still a foot there. There are still toes there. And I said, well, what's going on? He's like, there's something stuck. There's like a splinter or an ingrown toenail. There's something going on there. It doesn't feel good. I said, okay, let's go in. So we went in. I went down to the foot, and divine guided spirit, and we found this little culprit, and we pulled it out. And then Uncle felt better. In the third dimension, we created the correct circumstances, all divinely guided and orchestrated by love, by light, through Reiki, to re-assimilate, to realign that which was happening in the etheric realm, in his etheric body blueprint. We did the work energetically in these physical bodies with his etheric body, and he was remedied. He was remedied. Can you dig it? It was pretty cool. And I'm so very grateful for that experience. Thank you, Unki. Thank you, Unki. So the energy body, the etheric body interfaces with the Akashic records and the grids, right? It's the main bridgeway. It's the main bridgeway that informs our third dimensional experience. Again, we think about prana as being cosmic energy. We think about ether being nature's recording system, as Walter Russell was saying, that both qualities pervade all living beings and things. They are separate and one at the same time. Now, some teachings will say that ether and prana are the same thing. What I'm guided to share is that they are two in one, right? All is ultimately one. There are no dimensions. There's no 5D to go to. There's no 4D to go to. There's nothing to do. But while we're in a body, we're going to do a few things here, right? We're going to align, if we're so guided, with spirit, and remember that we are not this body, and remember our Holy Grail hologram. Remember that we are love. Activate that Taurus consciousness through the heart center, through healing those ancient wounds, those ancient karmas, and come back to source, come back to love, come back to light, to be and embody that in this world. Prana, cosmic energy. Your etheric body is nourished by this cosmic energy. Every morning, or at least part of my intention is to every morning, go outside and I do a series of Kapalabhati and Bhastrika pranayama facing the sun with Qigong. And I'm going to create a little mini online aspect source that you can tap into that with me for. And it's really powerful. You do 100 Kapalabhatis, create a lock between Mulabandha, Jalandhara Bandha, the perineum, and the throat, yogic lock. And that prana, that life force, is then locked in your crystalline tube. Remember that tube, I like to hold the crystal up, is that divine casing that houses the spine and all of the chakras. So we do 100 Kapalabhati breaths. We hold the breath, engage the locks, allow that life force to then dance and to activate, to alchemate through the crystalline tube. And we activate the perineum 75 times while we're holding the breath. And then we release. There's a Qigong series that we do. And then we do 30 Bhastrika breaths. Again, hold, pulse the perineum for 75, do the Qigong. And then there's a last 100 Kapalabhati breaths. Now, I tell you, this is like supercharging up your energy body. And you see, when we charge ourselves up with this cosmic life force, we are putting ourselves in tune with all divine wisdom and intelligence. I mean, you think about the Walter Russells, you think about the Nikola Teslas, you think about these divine genius channels of our time, of all time, right? And how their ability to, I don't know if they did Kapalabhati, but their ability to be in a constant conversation with that cosmic life force, with that cosmic energy, that cosmic wisdom that is here now. It is the now moment. Cosmic life force energy is the now moment. And that's where we go as we collapse the wave function in the way of love. We match our mind, body, emotions, etheric body with the blueprint that is beyond the etheric blueprint, that is beyond the Akashik, that is even, I will go to say, within and beyond the sun, because we did a whole show and I want to come back and do more on this, where there's nothing new under the sun. And that's where we draw this divine intelligence from, this cosmic wisdom from, that informs all of our experience. And then again, life is never the same again. It's never the same again. When you have your cosmic vision activated, you never see things in the same way again. And the light just continues to open and become brighter and brighter. The more healing we do in our lives, the more aware we are of love and really how simple and beautiful and blessed this experience is. And so the etheric body template is given the right of way through our practices. Maybe it's Reiki, maybe it's pranayama, maybe it's just good, wholesome food, good, right thinking, and proper speech that allow all of our bodies to intake greater and greater levels of prana, of that cosmic intelligence, wisdom, and life force that then is channeled from that memory, infused through the etheric body. We bring it in, that prana, into the etheric body, and it clears out any stagnant energy in the channels. We think about the meridians, the nadis, right? The acupressure, or acupuncture, pardon me, when they're putting those needles in, they are directly affecting the etheric body. Because remember, the etheric body is the physical body's double. It has the organs, all the channels, and all the chakras, and they all speak to each other. What are they saying to each other? How is that flow of life force flowing through all systems in the body? When there is a stagnant flow of that, or there's just really stagnancy, right? There's a lack of flow of that life force through us. And so there's a sense that we're seeing through these dirty filters our ability to see that love, to see that light of the now moment, which is not distorted by the Akashic realm, by all those memories, by all this stuff in the matrix that keeps us distracted and keeps us playing the game, if you will. And not that the game is a bad thing, but is the game serving you? Do you have your set points in your etheric body set up to a degree where what you're rerunning from the Akashic is like, yeah, that's the belief patterns, or that's the nowness, that's the awakening, that's the awareness that I choose to consciously live from, be, and embody here on this plane. And ultimately, as we practice that more and more, and we make peace and absolve those distortions of memory in the Akashic records that informs the etheric body to replay those reruns of hurt, of pain, of fear, of limitation, well, that's when we enter the nowosphere. The now is fourth dimensional consciousness. This show is called 4D Trinity. Again, it is the trinity of mind, of emotions, of body, with spirit, God, source, love, light, that cosmic wisdom and intelligence that often just by allowing our senses, our ability, our awareness to shift in that direction and to be open to it, allows a flood of that cosmic energy in. And that cosmic energy is love. We have so many different words for it, but we think about it as being love, and love is the quantum organizer. Love knows how to organize all of the information stored in this etheric body in a way that is aligned and vibrating with the highest potential of love that you are capable of being, embodying, and channeling at this time. And so these daily practices, for me, it's that series of the Kapalabhati and the Bhastrika breathing, which was gifted by spirit. You'll be guided. You'll be guided the more that you make yourself accessible to spirit. It will come in. The more room you make for it to dance within you, the more it will dance within you and show you and guide you along your way. I want to check the time. Okay, we've got about 10 or 11 minutes. So the now moment is fourth dimensional consciousness. And I know there's a lot of talk about the 5D, and the space that I'm guided to hold is the space of the heart, because what is any dimension without love, without the initiation of going through the passageway of the heart center? What is being activated in your third eye if you are not activated in your heart? It's almost like a fool's gold, if you will. And I say that with respect because I've been there. You've been there. You know, you get all these activations energetically, and all of a sudden you're seeing auras, or you're having all these psychic experiences. And perhaps you're aware that unless there's a space and the heart where all of that is rooted to, or connected to, anchored from, that we will continue to see the matrix even through the third eye, right? You can be activated in the third eye, but again, without the heart center. What are we truly seeing? What are we truly tapping into? And so I share with you that the passageway through the heart center, through the fourth dimension, let's not forget, right? Somehow we've all skipped from 3D to 5D. And my work here is to remind us, is to hold a sacred space for the fourth dimension of consciousness. And I know there's some folks that I don't understand, or I haven't delved into the conversations of the densities and all these. There's a lot of language around it. And I remember one brother I spoke to, he's like, oh, well, 4D is supposed to be bad, and that's where all the bad negative entities are, and we got to skip that and go straight to 5D. And I was like, I've never heard of that. In my experience, and what I'm channel and what I'm guided to share is that that's a story, right? As is all the memories in the Akashik, all the grids, everything is just a story. And the part of the story that I bring is that fourth dimensional consciousness is love and only love. It is your God consciousness. It is your true awakening to remembering your Holy Grail hologram, to remembering that you are that spirit. And so if you get to 5D and you realize that your knickers are in a twist and you can't handle it, and you're kind of like, whoa, and everything's getting blown out of proportion, contact me, come back to the teachings. I have a 4D Trinity playlist here on YouTube. Check it out, see what resonates with you, because there is an initiation. If we are going to exist in fifth dimensional consciousness, there's a certain spiritual musculature that is required to sustain it. It's one thing to have a blip in and out of these different dimensional frequencies. Yet ultimately, remember, what I offer as well is that, really all you need is that 4D. And then all dimension, everything really just collapses, because that's love and only love here. And so understanding that the passageway through the heart is vital to informing the etheric body, to remembering the true aspect that we are, if you should choose it. I'm just offering to you what I have explored, what I have found, and I pray it serves you. And even if there's just a little bit of what I share today, or in any of these shows, that serves your passage, that gives a little inspiration, that activates a little bit of DNA in you, of that memory, of all wisdom, and then goes forth to inform the physical, the mental aspects of your being, that informs a beautiful co-creationship with this universe, well then, isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that a beautiful thing? Now I'm going to have a look here. Oh, blessings. Thank you for saying hello. Skylark on YouTube says, when we trust in God, our lives go where they are intended to go. And that's it. Trust is the mystic gift. The heart center is where we experience and where we are initiated into that mystic gift of trust. And really, that's fourth dimensional consciousness. It is you being the mystic. Hello, mystic. It is you being the mystic that you already are. We think about, I like to think about the aura as having an infinite amount of little filters. Like if you've ever seen a fly, remember, how they show you perhaps a fly, how their little eyeballs, I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly, but how there's like infinite little round, like almost like a honeybee comb, right? Little tiny hundreds and hundreds of little filters through which the little eyeballs of the fly sees. And we imagine that that's like the aura. And every time we heal, every time we place love, every time we choose love, because it's a moment-to-moment experience, we are matching ourselves with the love that is that cosmic blueprint that exists before the etheric body, before the memories and the Akashic. It is outside of time. You see, the now, the fourth dimensional consciousness experience is outside of time and space. It is spirit. It is when you are spirit, and it is bridging and alchemating these aspects to work together. And really, you don't have to do anything but do your work, do your practices that make you feel good, that create that sacred space for spirit. And again, love is the quantum organizer, and it knows how to do and organize all of the systems for your highest potential, for your highest timeline at any given time and space. And so that's why our daily practices are really important. Even just being in nature and being quiet, grounding, earthing, taking your shoes off, laying on the park, on the grass, just being at one, being silent, being quiet are really important. But again, that love is an initiation, because here in the world, we are taught, right, to just think and to speak and to speak and to think and to think and to speak and to speak and to think. We get quiet, we drop into the heart. And again, that tiny space in the heart connects us to that cosmic life force, that cosmic energy and wisdom that then is given the right of way to inform all of the other systems of our bodies. And we have a completely different experience. Now, let me see here. Oh, Clearwater Sarone, Mystic Artifacts. Oh, blessings. Thank you for being here, Heart Grid. Hey, brother. Always good to see you. Uh-oh. Here we go. Sam. Blessing, sister. Jose. Hey, brother. Thank you, Tumbleweed. Hey, thank you so much. Slevo. Golden Vibrations. Sam Ambitious says, ooh, white, super nice on you. Oh, thanks, sister. It's like you're talking to me directly. Voice of the universe, hashtag. Oh, I'm so grateful. San Martif. Hello, Florence. Haha, I need my glasses. Girl, me too. Artem, brother, my old roommate. And I know you from a past life. I don't know if we ever talked about that. Camera guy, what's up? Okay, so Sam says, this talk, perfect timing. Thankful for your teachings always. Oh, blessings, sister. I'm so grateful that they resonate. And then later, Sam says, yes, we choose to hear and we can choose to access info, but we have to create purpose once we are here. And then she says, hi, God. Creating purpose. And isn't that an interesting one? I think we did a show on that. What is your purpose? And this is a part of this Akashic Records retrieval. So I'm doing this workshop. It's going to be on Zoom, October 30th, right? That's a big weekend. Astrologically, the full moon is on October 31st, full moon in Taurus. I'm a Taurus. Hey, Taurus family. It's going to be our full moon. And it's the second full moon in October. So it's supposed to be a super moon, right? Really juiced up. And it's on the eve, right? Before that. And we're going to go into the Akashic Records and we're going to retrieve these sacred artifacts, these sacred messages, these sacred blueprints that we've actually left for ourselves in the past, for our future self, here now. And it is said that once we retrieve these sacred items, now we go in with our higher selves, with our totems, with our light beings who love us crew, and we are guided then into which part of the records we go and the information received. And once we receive that information into our etheric blueprint, into our etheric body, then there's a new conversation happening between the etheric body, the mind, the emotions, the physical body, which informs how we interface with the rest of our experience. And so we're going to be going in on October 30th. It's 5:30 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in California, Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to have a beautiful experience of retrieval, of gaining insight and information, and simply just receiving that information and being at one with it and coming into alignment with it and recognizing it, remembering it. That helps to inform how we are plugging into the grid matrix of collective consciousness, that superposition soup where all potentials and possibilities, potentials, probabilities exist, right? In the atoms that make us up, that are in us and through us, and that make everything up. It is the superposition soup of all the atomic structures of this third dimension. And it is our perception, it is our beliefs, it is our karmas, it is our thoughts, our words, consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, that are informing the atomic superposition C of our third dimension, and how to come and be a density in this third dimension, to be our experience. And so once we even just get a glimpse of something in the Akashic, it's like, oh, everything changes. It's like that, like a Rubik's Cube, right? Like Tetris. It's like things just start to fit. We start to see things differently. We start to, remember things differently. We're plugging into the grid matrix in a different way. And so receiving in different ways. Now, the live stream on Instagram is going to end here shortly. I'm so grateful for all of you being here. I thank you for your support, for your love and your light. I'm so very grateful. You can sign up at my website, my link tree at Instagram, receive my monthly love letter, and stay in tune with the community. I'm so very grateful for you, and I thank you. Next week, we're going to talk about karma. That will be our topic, how it fits in with the etheric blueprint, with the etheric body, and these reruns of the Akashik. So I thank you, everyone. I thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. April! Oh, I just see, I can see. And then with the glasses, I can really see. Hello, sister, just hopped on. Yes, catch up with the replay for sure. Oh, I love you, April. Thank you for being here, sister. Okay, I'm going to put some links up top for our YouTube from last week's, from the Akashic Records, and some other aspects, the energy lung and whatnot, so you can catch up. I love you, and I'm so very grateful for you. Again, next week's show will be on karma. So thank you for being here. Blessings. And blessings, Facebook.